Good morning, everybody. Oh, Alexandra, I see you. You didn't have your camera on yesterday. It's nice to see your face.
Yeah, I was
Hi,
at work
everybody. Good
yesterday, so I
morning.
was like trying to listen.
I saw the picture down the bottom. I was like, there she is. Hi, Craig. Hi, Exie. Hi, everybody who's new that I haven't seen yesterday. Parveen. Hello. Good morning, everyone. Got Tiffany, we got Stephanie, Jade, Ronnie. Okay, so today we're kind of focusing a little bit more. I'm sure people will be trickling in. Dan, good morning. Nice to see you again. We're going to be focusing a little bit more on the visual side, but we're also going to take some detours into social media and website. So if you can remember from yesterday, we had both sides of the circle. So we had on one side was more of the visual side of things. We had social media, we had logo, that's part of branding. And then on the lighter side, we had the kind of things that were a little more intangible. That's what we worked on yesterday. So things like brand voice, personality. We're gonna take some time to go back into a little bit of that stuff today because I think that intangible part is really, really important. So we'll probably revisit some of the exercises that we did yesterday. Does anybody not have a workbook or not have the link to the workbook? Just type in the chat and then I can pop it in there for you guys. But I think pretty much everybody has it.
Is that the link that was in the email?
Yes, it's that one.
Yeah, I have it.
Okay. Love your accent, by the way.
Thank you.
Are you in England?
No, I'm in Canada, but I'm originally from Scotland.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I said England, but I knew it was some British Isles.
It's close. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'm going to jump into sharing my screen. Okay, in our session this morning, we are talking about, does visual branding matter? Signaling to ideal clients with your logo and visual branding. Now, in this session, I think the main thing that I want to just get across is how important visual branding does matter to signaling to your client, especially if what you're trying to do is offer an up-leveled service. If you want to attract a premium brand positioning, the visual branding matters so much in how people make decisions to whether they want to work with you or not. I think that one of the ways to kind of think about this, so really my hypothesis is that visual branding matters. I don't really think that I need to like argue that point too much other than just saying from my opinion, it matters a lot. Some homework that I kind of want to give you guys as you're going through especially as we're moving into the holiday season. I know that people are purchasing a lot. I want you to really think about your experience when you're purchasing, and especially not just like, I don't know, when you're going to Target and you're purchasing something, even though that matters too, but if you ever book a service with someone, if you ever go through someone's online funnel, if you're a digital business owner, if you're working with cold traffic, that's, for example, like see a YouTube or a blog post that you put up and you want to move them along the funnel so that they buy a package with you, go through the process yourself. I buy a lot online. I buy a lot of resources online. I buy a lot of online courses. I go through people's funnels all the time. If anybody is like familiar with Russell Brunson's work, the funnel hacking, hashtag funnel hacking. I do a lot of funnel hacking. I do a lot of funnel hacking just for research purposes too, to see how other people are setting up their online funnel. And when I say funnel yesterday, for people who weren't here, I just mean the customer journey, right? So a funnel can be set up in lots of different ways, but so I see a lot, like you guys too, I see a lot of Facebook ads. I see a lot of Instagram ads. A lot of them are really targeted to me. You get on people's radar, you get tagged with a little cookie, and they kind of follow you around. And I like to funnel hack. I like to buy, especially if it's like a low hanging fruit purchase. So something like 27, 37, $47 range. I'll actually go in and purchase it, not necessarily for the materials themselves, but just to deconstruct how they work me through their funnel. So when I buy it, what does the checkout page look like? Okay, I'm kind of analyzing everything, and I will purchase it. And then where do they take me on an upsell? What's the next step that they want me to take? What kind of email comes into my inbox? And I get this, and I don't know if this is relevant for you guys, but I have a Chrome extension. It's called Full Page. Yeah, Full Page. And you can actually take a screenshot of a whole page as you go. It's sometimes hard to like screenshot every little piece of it. You're kind of screenshotting like just the above the fold, but this plugin will take a screenshot or a PDF of the entire sales page. And I have a whole folder on my computer of like every sales page that I've ever seen that I like. How does this tie into visual branding? It ties in because of I'm interested in the way that they're structuring the information. I'm interested in, is every part of their branding applied through the sales funnel? Because like we talked about yesterday with buying psychology, we are looking to confirm that we either made a good choice or that we made a bad choice when we purchase something, or if we're about to purchase something. So there's this scanning part of our brain that's just like legit, 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 just like, especially with online businesses. So if your expectation is that, and not everybody here today is online, and not everybody's looking to build some kind of sales funnel, but if you were looking to build any kind of like cold traffic to buying something with you, it pays to do research in other people's funnels. Because what I feel is, and I don't have the data to back this up, so this is really just like a hunch and just based on um, my own experience of looking at lots of different funnels. As soon as you hit that point where the branding doesn't match the, say, the ad or the first opt-in page, if you get to the upsell and it doesn't match, it's like those little warning bells start to go off, like maybe this isn't as legit as I think that it is. So visual branding matters in respect to logo, overarching branding, brand color palette, font, so typography, different patterns that you use. All of that is important. We're not going to go so deep into today. We're going to talk a little bit about logo, but not super duper deep. I'm kind of talking more about, does everything have cohesion? When you go from blog post, social media post, any kind of entry point, you've got the entry point in the beginning of the funnel. How do people find out about you? Can you match every part of that process as they go step through step through step to becoming a purchaser? And then there's more steps once they become a purchaser to kind of ascend up that ladder with you till they become one of those 20% super fans that we were talking about yesterday. Visual branding, making sure that it matches as you go along, is for me a paramount importance. So I like to, like I said, I think that's a fun little trick to do. So as you see these like $7, the good thing is, like, to get into people's funnels is often not that expensive. And then what I find is it's hard to find people's sales pages, because you have to, that's why I use the plugin to take a screenshot of it. And then what I do is I have a folder and I keep all of the sales pages that I've seen that I really like in a folder on my computer. And then when it's my turn to launch something, I use those as either visual inspiration for how to structure it, or I use it as copywriting inspiration. So I'll look and see like how do especially people who are really well known in the industry, because if you can kind of break down what they're doing, that they're working with a copywriter, that they have some badass salesperson that's helping them kind of put everything together. So you can kind of piggyback off of the money that they've invested, especially if you're just getting started, like the money they've invested in putting together a really, really well converting sales page and start deconstructing it from there. So I like to do lots of intel, use that, because oftentimes, especially this is really important if you have somebody that you follow. There are some people out there who have really big, super popular courses that are really well done that are only open 1, 2, 3 times a year. And you can't get that sales page otherwise. So even if I'm not going to invest in that course, I will always take a long screenshot of it, even down to analyzing the Q&A section, because we can talk a whole another workshop just about sales pages and how to construct them and copywriting. But I like to, make sure that I'm taking screenshots of them, checking out the FAQ section, checking out the testimonials, how are they structuring the whole thing, and just keep a little record of that. But it kind of brings me back to my statement of visual branding matters, and not just logo wise. It matters in how your social media comes together. It matters in your sales pages. It matters on your website. It's all part of one living, breathing system. There's a lot of pressure to get this right away. And I don't think you need to have that pressure, but I think just writing down even month by month. We're going to do the next session. We're actually going to do a brand audit, and the brand audit will just kind of walk us through like colors, typography, logo, website. And you'll have an opportunity to just kind of rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, and then go through and just just kind of write down like what you think needs work in each section, and then just create a plan from there. So it doesn't have to be, all at once or a really huge time or money investment, but just knowing like, okay, my social media needs some help, but we'll get back to that. I want to kind of do just a little test with you guys. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can, oh no, I don't, I can actually pull you guys down on the side and share my screen big at the same time. I just want to see, let's see, let's go back here. So this is just a good example of like how much logos make a difference. You guys can unmute yourself too. I just want to see, like, can we go through these and see if we can get them all right? Like, who knows all of these logos? This one, Starbucks. Yeah. Malibu.
Malibu rum.
Yep. This one I'm not sure of. Does anybody know?
Atari.
Atari. Yeah. Google, obviously. CBS.
Yes.
Unilever.
Unilever. Kodak.
I was gonna say Canon. Bic. Beats.
YouTube. Adobe.
BP.
Adidas. PayPal.
Quicksilver.
Quicksilver.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a surf brand. Quicksilver.
Yeah.
Quicksilver.
The Hallmark?
Rolex.
Oh, yeah.
Rolex.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Craig.
Fruit of the
Loom.
Loom.
Target.
Apple. Mitsubishi.
Motorola.
Motorola.
Penguin.
Linux?
I thought it was Penguin Books at first. Is somebody
Yeah.
know?
Oh.
I think it's Penguin Clothes.
Penguin
No.
Clothes, yeah.
I
'Cause
think.
I thought the Penguin Books was a little more sophisticated than this cartoon.
Yeah, I think it's Penguin Clothes. Not sure.
No, the penguin's different from penguin clothes.
Yeah, that's Linux.
That's Linux.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking too. Was Linux.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Linux?
Yeah.
Linux. Yeah, it
Oh,
operates.
that makes sense, because it's not a very sophisticated penguin, right? Does everyone agree with that? It's like it's a little more.
It's a hefty penguin.
Post Thanksgiving penguin.
Yeah, Thanksgiving. That's right, Dan.
NBC,
NBC,
Yeah.
Pepsi,
Pepsi.
Chanel.
Chanel.
Coco Chanel.
I want to see some, I don't have these stats, but it's just good to do this exercise to see, I would love to know like how many logos does the average person recognize? We I use this as an example just to showcase like how important having a recognizable logo is. You know, we're not going to go a lot today into the ins and outs of logo design, but we can do a little bit around the brand personality because that's what we did yesterday. So whether you're I respect people at all, even though logo design is my industry. I respect people's entry levels at all different parts. So whether you're canvaing it up and doing it yourself, whether you're going on like Fiverr or Upwork and doing that with a freelancer, whether you're going all the way up to, you know, I don't think anybody here is doing that, but going up to $100,000 and hiring some kind of like top of the line agency. So there's all kinds of like, you know, places in between, but it's good to start matching up or at least thinking about at any point of the logo development process, how it kind of fits with brand personality. And this is just a little like grid of, you know, we have some personality types on the sides. We have sincerity, and then you kind of look through and we've got like Disney and Hallmark and Amazon and Cadbury chocolate. Interesting that sincerity, and we've got purple color comes up twice here. Excitement is the next one. Look, we've got red that comes up 3 different times in these logos. We've got Tesla, Red Bull, Coca-Cola, Nike. Competence, blue is a color that's coming up a bit for me in these. Volvo, Google, Intel, and Microsoft. Sophistication, you look instantly, the font size, the weight goes a little thinner here with Gucci and Tiffany. Got Rolex and Apple. Ruggedness, you see some browns and greens in here with Harley Davidson, Timberland, Jeep, and Marlboro. So it's easy to see, like just looking at these kind of visually, there's this connection that you get, the line you can draw between these similarities in some of these logos, you know, like they're not, obviously they're trying to distinguish themselves from other logos, so they're not, but they're working within a framework that we as consumers and visually oriented people can understand. This was I don't know, you know, you get stats, and I don't know if this is for sure true, because I've also heard this as 80%, so I went with the lower one. But 60%, let's say 60 to 80% of decisions to buy are based on color alone. And when I first heard this, I thought to myself, no way, like it seems so trite, you know, that we would be making so many decisions based on color. And then I think to your own buying history. I'm like, almost everything that I buy is based on color, unless it's an absolute necessity and I have to buy it. I like to kind of think of this an Amazon experiment with myself. Ever since I heard this, I will pay easily, buying like some just little appliances for my office, buying some appliances for the kitchen. I'll pay like $10 more to get the color that I want. Like if they have just, you know, a plain black or just like a silver or something, and then there's like this really pretty mint green that I love, I'm like, I'm going with the mint green. Even if I have to pay a premium for it, I will do that. You know, but when you think of clothes and cars, like people will pay extra for the car that's the color that they want, you know. And so a lot of decisions at even everything in your home, you know, just whether it's couches or different furniture, furnishings, blankets, clothes that we wear, packaging of products. You know, if you have two, we're talking about this the other day. I was just saying, like, even with skincare specifically, we were talking about like skincare brands and packaging, and I'll pay a premium for skincare. If all the ingredients are the same, I will spend more for the skincare product that looks good on my shelf. You know, I'll spend more on the one that has a bottle that's a color that I really like, you know, versus something that looks a little bit more utilitarian. So I'm going to invite you, as you go through, especially if some of you are working on your branding, to start thinking about what kind of decisions you make that are based on color. I'll hop in the chat. I see some people are typing in there. How do I get back there? Oh, actually, I love that. The logo game. Go full page. Yeah, thanks, Dan. Oh, thank you for the color psychology too. Sweet. Did I miss a page? Yeah, color chart. So this is, these are somebody's linking to color psychology too. And this is just a very, very, you go more in depth with this, but as you're thinking about color palettes for your business, I like to think about like a couple different things. The first thing I like to think about is, and this is, like I said, we're just basically skimming over what's a very deep work that you can do with color, with logo, with typography. But I like to think about color systems. I like to think about the meaning behind color. I think this is a good, and I'll send out these slides to everybody afterwards. I'm just going to put together all the recordings and all the slides so you'll have this. But we have the different color systems, and you can have this like healing, tranquility, earthy and the browns, excitement, happiness and playfulness, but maybe caution at the same time. You go through this and just see like what feelings kind of match it up, because we started working with words yesterday. We started working with a brand vocabulary when we were going through voice, how you want people to feel. And so you can kind of start to match it up with the colors here on this color chart, or go a little bit deeper with blogs or books around color psychology. But the two things that I also like to think about when I'm developing color systems for people or myself is doing a really good market research, doing a really good audit of peers in your industry, and seeing like what are the dominant, because for sure you'll see a dominant color palette come out. Not that everybody has it, but we talked a little bit yesterday about zagging instead of zigging. I like to do market research so that we are doing something that's a little like, I'm always trying to be adjacent to the industry, but a little bit unexpected. So like, for example, we had a client come to us, and I saw her logo, and I thought in her color palette, and I said, this looks to me like a CBD oil company or like a medical marijuana company. It had like a green leaf that was black and had green. And I went in and I just Googled, CBD oil company, and had a screenshot of like the Google Images section. And it was like almost every brand like had that look, and so there are industries where, especially like I'm thinking like health and wellness industry, where you get a lot of that, or a lot of that like green leaf, and it's in this kind of green color palette because that's healthy. So you see a lot of things that are very derivative to one another. Another industry that this kind of comes up for me is like yoga studios, yoga teaching, and we see a lot of like this kind of light blue, like calming, and a lot of like lotus petal, lotus leaves. And those logos and branding can be really beautiful, but it's kind of pedestrian within the industry, right? And so what I like you to think about, whether you're DIYing your brand or you're getting it professionally treated, is to think about what are the dominant themes that you see in your industry. So do a lot of research, like start looking at, if you're a business coach, for example, I bet you're going to see a lot of black and navy blue and maybe some gold for that upscale touch. And I like to start asking myself, like, how can I find the sweet spot of having a color scheme, having a logo, having patterns that are a little unexpected, a little out of the ordinary from my research that I've done, but aren't so out of the ordinary that they wouldn't really fit. And that is the delicate dance right there. And you can, obviously it's your business, it's your brand, you take it wherever you want. But I find that those can be some of the more memorable brands, and they're actually the most fun to create because you get to kind of work with color palettes and a feeling that really then becomes very unique to you. So if everybody else is a cookie cutter, like green tranquility leaf for their like nutrition business, or like a fork or something like very literal, if you have all these cookie cutter logos and brands, then when people get to yours, it's suddenly they have like, you're a health coach, but you've got navy blue and coral and like a pop of mustard yellow or something, and it's a really cool pattern that feels very unique to you. That's something memorable. And what I like too is it gives you a good opportunity to create a really unique social media presence, really unique sales pages that people will remember, so you're not just looking exactly like all of your peers. How to choose a brand. Yeah, thank you. Thanks everybody for being so collaborative in the chat. So just a very, very brief little rules around logo design, especially if you're doing it yourself. Some of the rules are making something that's distinct, something that's timeless. And so not looking at what the trends are exactly for right now. There are always fonts that there are always trends in typography. There's always trends in patterns, and it's easy to kind of point them out right now, but those things will look dated in a couple of years. So the best logos are timeless, distinct, clear, so easy to understand what it is, what the shape is, and easy to see at small sizes. So think of the application for your logo. A lot of people, especially if you're doing it yourself, you create a shape that you really love, minimize it to see what it looks like when you have it as the little icon at the top of your website. What does it look like as you have it as a social media icon? We need to be able to kind of clearly understand what it is at a small size. And then I just put here a little, and this is logo design 101, all of this stuff, but just steer away from logos that are too literal. And I'm sure there are opportunities and examples of when this is perfect. So none of these are 100% true. But I think for most industries, like steering away from, like you're a hairdresser and it's like a pair of scissors, or you're a nutritionist and it's just a fork, or a bowl of salad. I don't know. I think having something that's a little bit more, just like we said with the color palette, like what's everybody else, or what are a lot of people in your industry doing? Just have a research document where you're taking screenshots, have a folder of like what kind of colors they're using, what do their logos look like, and see with the logo design and also with the color palette and with typography if you can find a sweet spot of something that's a little different and not so super literal. This, I just wanted to kind of walk you guys through, because sometimes it's something that I learned this year, and I think that this is appropriate for pretty much every industry, is as business owners, we do a lot, especially in our sales process, we do a lot of telling and we don't do a lot of showing. I was talking to someone yesterday, like a fitness coach, and trying to get her more clients, and we were talking about like sales calls and doing like one-on-ones and talking about their goals. And I said, well, why don't you just do like a freebie session? Actually do like a 15 minutes. I'm like, because then they will get the experience of working out with you and they're gonna leave feeling like something actually happened. And so something that we started doing this year and more in the sales call process is actually show people behind the scenes of how we work with people. So I thought it might be fun, since we're talking about logos, to actually just show you behind the scenes of a couple of our last 2 brands that we launched. So the first one is Taylor Michelle, and she's a mental fitness coach. And I put over here the words so you could see what we were working with. We had power, powerful, sassy, home-like, relatable. These were all things that Taylor came to us like wanting to make sure her logo fit that. And the other thing that we knew about Taylor is that she is obsessed with hot pink, just loves it. Showed us everything in her house that she had that was hot pink. And she has a Jeep that's this color, this kind of chartreuse, really bright. So we went with different bright color palettes. We usually, when we work with people, like to have 3 different mood board concepts that we share with them. And this is where we start playing around with some of the shapes that we could use. So we wanted something that felt fun. She has a corporate background, and she's branching out on her own and wanted something that felt like that corporations would still invite her to come in and speak, but also was unexpected in her industry. So people wouldn't expect, with mental health and corporate wellness, to this pop of bright hot pink, or even something that's colorful. And we wanted to surprise them. There's a lot of noise out there in the world. And so we wanted to go with something that if they got this business card, if they saw Taylor's brand, if they saw her social media, it would be bright enough and bold enough to really pop, so they'd actually pay attention. So when we do our rounds of logos, then I just went in and I just screenshotted a couple of things. We actually do more than this, but she loved these like hand-drawn lines, and this concept of like taking your brain and where there's a lot of anxiety and it feels like there's a lot of knots, and putting some love in there. We like the speech and the smile. Ultimately, what we went with is this one. She loved like a little bit of gold, so we added some gold in here. We had some color. So hopefully this is fun to just kind of see our background process, the logos, and doing a little mood board here. And I just want to show you one more, and then we're going to get to our exercise. So this was for Golden Age leadership and wellness coaching. We actually renamed Audrey, our client, to Golden Age leadership and wellness coaching. When she came to us, she was a coach for older people, for like elderly people in like nursing homes and senior citizen centers, and working with like hypertension and high blood pressure. And when she came to us, her brand name was Coaching Max, coaching MAXX, even with the 2 X's. And we sat down and we said, "Ooh, we got to change your name." We're like, this does not feel like it fits. And we actually came up with Golden Age, thinking that somebody is moving into their golden age of life, golden age wellness coaching. And we use Golden Age as an opportunity to kind of kick off some branding concepts. So these are 3 mood boards that we came up with for Audrey. Her words were passion, change, results, partnership, wellness. We on my team and I all really, really loved this one. We kind of hoped that she would go with this one, but that wasn't her choice. And so the part of this process is also being able to be flexible and partners, like Dan was saying yesterday, the word partnership. We want to be partners with our clients too. So it's important for us to develop something that really resonated with her, even if what resonated with our team was like this beautiful mood board here. We actually went with something that had more of a gold, but these were a few logo options that we created for her. All of them went on the cutting room floor because she picked something different, but I really liked this one. And this was another one of my favorites too, but I really like what she went with, which was this one. So we did kind of a cool modern font, even though the population is an older population. We wanted to make sure that it still had a lot of style to it. She's a very stylish woman herself. We went with a gold abstract shape and a mood board down here. So it's kind of cool to be able to show that stuff to you guys, so you can see like behind the scenes what it looks like when you work with a branding company, logo design. There's a lot more moving pieces to that, but the visual is kind of fun and pretty. Let's see. So we're going to do an exercise now. It's a personality matrix. If you want to pull out your workbook. Make this a little bit bigger. Oh, thanks guys. Love Golden Age. So what I want to do here, I want to think about, you can use this for the brand voice. You can also use this for your visual branding. So even if you already have visual branding and you're really happy with it, I think still do this so you just have a good idea. You can kind of take this and look at it. Ooh. I don't know if you guys know this, but I actually live on a farm. We have a farm. We live on like a 500-acre farm that's just like outside of Philadelphia. So we're like in semi-rural Pennsylvania, and there was just a big tractor that was just going down the driveway. Sometimes I get a little distracted by what's happening up and down the driveway. So what we'll do here is, even if you have logo and branding that you love, still do this exercise. It'll just give you a good idea. You can kind of look back to your visual branding and see if it matches up with the way that you see it. Super simple. You're just going to take the slider and just move it to how far or close away from this you want. So let's take a couple minutes on the clock. I'm going to do this as well, and then we'll come back together. It's a good question, Craig. What does it mean if you're right in the middle? The only one that I found myself down the middle with is the refined and strong. Well, the good thing for you, Craig, is that we're going to be talking for our brand audit. And so I love to see like what your visual branding looks like and the new website, to see these questions, you know, see how it actually works. See if we're not taking the middle kind of feels like not taking a stance, right? It feels a little bit like trying to be everything to everybody. Yep. Yeah, and Craig and I are going to meet up, so I'll be able to actually go through his visual branding and website. Yeah, Dan, you got to own you. And just a little bit, Craig, that I have like had the pleasure to interact with your personality and even seeing your artwork behind you. Like, I know you're someone who has a personality and has a stance and an opinion, you know, so it feels almost like it's not coming from you, but coming from like, what do you think your person is going to want you to be? And I don't know if my intuition is right about that, but what's the difference between refined and strong? So I think of refined as, and I think those words, maybe the strong is a little bit confusing. So bold might be another way of thinking about it. So having something that's like very, let's go back to the logos here and see if visually we can find. So I would say Tiffany and Company here is refined. It's got the thinner font. And I'd say like this is more strong. I know that these are small. Let me see if I can make this bigger. Yeah. So something like this feels more strong to me. I want to get over here. So this is mine. This is what I came up with. You can see that they're kind of all over the shop. The ones that, what's good to see is like, what are the ones that you moved are there any that you moved all the way over to one side? You know, are you like, because some people, maybe some people just went all the way to one side or all the way to another side, or thought about it more in gradients or gradations. The things that for me were all the way over. So you see like feminine, I'm moving towards feminine, but I'm not all the way over on feminine. I don't feel resonant with like as feminine as one can get, you know. The same thing with youthful. I'm not like a TikTok millennial, like I'm not like, you know, all the way over on the youthful, but I want to trend more youthful though. Same thing with simplistic. But the things that for me that were right on the edge as far as you could go was bright, even though my color scheme is not bright hot pink, not like Taylor's that we just saw, but bright feels like I want to be as bright as possible, contemporary versus classic, friendly, obviously. You guys know those words came up a lot for me yesterday, and approachable. Those are two words and feelings that went all the way over on the other side. I want to be trending towards expensive, but I also want to be approachable too. And those things don't have to be mutually exclusive. I want to hear from you guys. If anybody wants to, what I want to hear is like, actually, I want to see if I can, I'd love you guys to maybe somebody share their screen so I can see what your matrix actually looks like. Does anybody want to raise their hand and volunteer to do that? Okay, I see. Let's see. Let me stop sharing my screen so I can see you guys easily. I think Dr. Irene, I see you now. I see you, Dr. Irene.
Sorry, I've been doing other things as well.
Oh, that's okay.
Here.
Do you know how to share your screen on Zoom?
I do. Let me just pull it up, make sure I have the right screen so you don't have to look at everything. Alrighty. So this is mine that I came up with now, and I apologize if I didn't hear everything, but I was like, for me, I was like going, this is one big issue I have with my brand, that I have people trying to tell me that because I'm a doctor and I do like blah, 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 and I'm helping like high achievers, that I need to be like spa-like, or I need to be like official, and I need to be serious. But I'm a farmer like you, which means I'm very practical. I'm very down to earth. I'm very, and I believe that life is too short not to be lighthearted and fun. Yes. And so even though I have a very serious topic, right, and I can be very serious, and I can be the, you know, the warrior that, you know, you need to do this now. At the same time, it's like, I do believe in having fun in my sessions. And so how to bring that out. So that's why I was asking. So like, as far as simple, complex, like, you know, I found myself putting down what I thought others needed to see versus what I would enjoy. Does that make sense?
That's why I love, this is really helpful. I'm like, I've never done it this way before. And it's really, one, it's really helpful to have you share your screen to look at it. And two, it's really helpful to do this exercise because it actually seems, when you look at it, in fact, when I was putting it in the workbook, I thought to myself, this almost seems too simple, but it's actually deeply complex because you start thinking about, am I doing this for myself? Am I doing this for my clients? Like, because if I was to ask you to do this again for yourself, you may choose different answers. And that kind of gets us down to like, one of the biggest, deepest questions around branding is, am I branding for something that I love? Or am I branding for something that my ideal clients love? And I don't have the right answer for that. I have a philosophy around and other people would disagree with me. I have a philosophy around a be yourself philosophy, around that there are enough clients, there are enough customers in the world to resonate deeply with your message that you are uniquely poised to share. And I like branding that reflects that, even within Brand Better, when we were rebranding, I wanted that to be a full expression of myself. I wanted the branding to be as closely aligned with how I show up on calls, how I show up at workshops. And I think that there's a real power in having congruency, especially if you're not a big corporation, right? If you're like this faceless corporation. But if you're Dr. Irene, like I want you to have a brand personality that matches how you show up. Because if you have, and like, I'm just thinking, like, if you have this brand that's just like super serious and has this kind of like authoritative vibe to it, and then you show up on a call and you're like earthy farmer, tell it like it is, lighthearted, that creates like a disconnect there between what the expectation is of you and how you're going to show up versus how you want to. And so I like to answer these questions as close to your own personality or aspiration of how you'd like an ideal brand for you. How would that look? Would it be more friendly or authoritative? So I feel the conflict here, and I think that that's a good place to move into. And I guess for everybody who's watching, what I'm curious about, like I said, I've never done it in this way before, but I'm curious about which of these, and not like which ones did you not understand, but which continuum feels the most challenging, like where you're just like, I don't know, am I more expensive or am I more economical? Was there one that really stuck out to you as more difficult than the others?
And this just may be my definition, how I'm approaching. I feel that personally, and my clients would say I'm incredibly approachable. The subject matter and what I do, I call more elite. So, right. It's so my subject matter, just so you know, is I'm a medical doctor, chiropractor, and an elite performance psychology trainer. So there's that that part of it. In other words, I have, and my special niche is helping high performing professionals with a calling avoid or heal themselves from burnout, catastrophic burnout, so that they can be the superheroes of their lives. So because I had a catastrophic burnout myself, so I'm very serious and very passionate about that. And then on the other hand, it's my approach to it is, this is just the way it is, and let's work through it. I'm here for you. I'm here every step of the way for you. So that's kind of where I'm having the issues. Like, so when I look at this, I don't walk around in bare feet, and yes, I have patchouli on just because I like it. In other words, I'm not like, so that was like, how far do I call myself a nature girl. I love being out in nature and on the water. And like, so would that be like right over to the side? Like, I guess that's why and I don't know if this is helping other people as far as knowing how far to put it.
And Tanika saying, I think that you can be both. And someone asked if this can change over time, and it absolutely can change over time. And I think this is a good exercise to, one thing that I'm realizing too, just in this conversation, is that where you have things in the middle, and maybe this comes back around to Craig's question as well, that's, I think, where there's some deep diving around how do I be both of these things for people? Like how, because that's a part that's unique to you, that you're approachable and elite. And as I'm listening to you, like there's some wisdom in what other people are saying around the visual branding, because when I think of an elite performance athlete, when I think of a high performer, like I don't think of the type of person who's going to be attracted to really homey branding, right? So like really kind of like down home, earthy. But what's cool about branding is when we looked at the branding wheel yesterday, there are so many different entry points to be able to infuse your personality. So maybe, and I'm not saying this is the right answer, but maybe it's like the visual branding is more elite and high end looking, but the way that you communicate through your copywriting, the way that you talk to your email list, the way that you show up in your pictures, in your YouTube, is where you get that more like natural lightheartedness too. But it may be that the visual branding feels and looks more upscale to kind of attract a high performer. That's just my one intuition.
Well, and that's beautiful because and I think Craig was the one who was asking about this. All my points in the middle are not neutrals for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's the dichotomy. It's like, I could say, yes, it's simple and it's complex.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And I said neutral at first, and now I'm coming back around again to see the complexity I'm like, this is actually a much more complex exercise than I ever expected it to be. But I'm so glad that it's created like multiple entry points of self-inquiry and connection here. You know, how do you combine something that's like casual and like, how do you combine these, what feels opposing, into like a complex brand, you know? But the best brands have complexity to them. So there's a real method to this madness.
Perfect.
Well, I am super excited that you shared. I'm just looking at the time. So we're going to take a little break. And what's cool is the next section, let's move the spotlight. The next section, we're doing a brand audit. We'll probably we'll do a 10-minute break. So we'll just start a little 5 minutes later. So I'm going to go make a cup of tea, and you guys could probably use a little bit of a mental break. So there's not going to be a lot of talking from me in the next section. We're actually going to do a lot more working and a lot more collaboration, talking things over like this. Let me just see in the chat what we're going on. Okay, guys, I will see you on the next call in a little bit, and have a nice little break. Bye.